Welcome to Up the Stock Market Learning. The beginning is most important. In this video, we are going to discuss about the analysis of the Hindenburg Research report on Adani Group. Context of this video as follows. Moving on to the topic number 1. Who is Hindenburg Research? Hindenburg Research LCC is an investment research firm which is focused on the activist short selling, founded by Nathan Anderson, based in the New York City. The firm generates the public reports via its website that alleges the corporate fraud and the malfeasance company. The report features defenses of the practice of the short selling. They play the vital role in exposing fraud and the protecting investor while holding the short position in the company before publishing a report. The firm prepares its investment report on the target company in 6 or more months by going through its public record and the internal corporate document as well as talking to its employee. The report is first submitted to the firm's investor, allow them to take a short position before the report is made public. Hindenburg take a cut of the profit made on that short trade. They have an experience in the investment management industry span decades with a historical focus on equity, credit, and the derivative analysis. In particular, they often look for the situation where the company may have any combinations of accounting irregularities, bad actors in management, or the key services provider roles, undisclosed related party transactions, illegal, unethical businesses, or the financial reporting practices, undisclosed regulatory, product, or the financial issues. Moving on to the topic number 2. Hindenburg Research Track Record. Hindenburg has a track record of finding corporates doing wrong and place a bet against the company. According to the company website, the Hindenburg has flogged the potential wrongdoing in at least 16 companies since 2017. These are the list of company for them Hindenburg has wrote a research report, and thereafter the share value of many companies has been drastically reduced in the stock market. Last year, it took a short and the long position in Twitter. Hindenburg said it was a short on the Twitter because it believes that the Elon Musk 44 billion offer to take the company private could get a repriced low if the world's richest person walked away from the deal. In July, the Anderson disclosed a significant long position betting against the Musk. The deal for the Twitter closed in October 2022 at the original price. Moving on to the topic number 3. Disclosure of Hindenburg Research. In one hand, they are trying to expose the Adani Group, and on other hand, they have short position in Adani Group. I am reading the few interesting lines mentioned in the disclosure or the disclaimer as followed. Hindenburg Research disclaimer says, we hold a short position in Adani Group companies through the US traded bond and the non-Indian traded derivatives, along with the other non-Indian traded reference securities. This report relates solely to the valuations of the security traded outside of India. This report does not constitute a recommended on security. This report represents our opinion and the investigative commentary, and we encourage every reader to do their own due diligence. You further agree to your own research and the due diligence. Consult your own financial, legal, and the tax advisor before making any investment decision with respect to the transaction in any security covered herein. Following publications of any report or the letter, we intend to continue transactions in security covered herein, and we may be long, short, or the neutral at any time hereafter, regardless of any initial conclusion or the opinion. Now, here is my viewpoint. Do not panic on this situation. I will recommend you to go through the entire disclosure and the legal disclaimer through on the Hindenburg website for more detail. Thereafter, you can take buy or hold or the sell decision accordingly. Moving on to the topic number 4, background on Adani Group. Adani Group is the second largest parent company in India, run by its chairman and the founder Gautam Adani. In December 2022, the Gautam Adani is the third richest man in the world. The group has the 7 key publicly listed equity with a collective market value of about 17 trillion in Indian rupees. The 7 key Adani listed company have seen their stock price strangely surge over the past 3 years with the most increasing multifold. Both Adani Enterprises and the Adani Port features in India's Nifty 50 index. 6 of the companies are included in the MSCI India index. Moving on to the topic number 5. Adani groups are 85% plus overvalued. They have mentioned in the research report the 7 listed company of Adani Group are 85% overvalued. Infrastructure firms are generally relatively slow, low growth, low multiple enterprises. Yet, the valuation metrics of Adani listed company are comparable to the frontiers of the high growth tech companies. On the blended basis, the comparison to the industry peer, you can see the 85% plus downside purely on the fundamental. As claimed in the research report, even if you ignore the finding of our investigations and take the financial of Adani Group at the face value, its 7 key listed company has the 85% downside purely on the fundamental basis owing to the sky high valuation. Moving on to the topic number 7, the members of Adani Group have breaches the financial covenants. In the past, the members of Adani Group have breaches the financial covenants and the obligations according to the regulatory filings. From the solvency perspective, the multiple listed entity in the group are highly leveraged related to the industry averages. 4 of the 7 of these entities have the negative free cash flow, indicating that the situation is worsening. A company's current ratio is a measure of liquid asset less near-term liabilities. 5 companies in the group have the current ratio below 1. It is suggesting a heightening short-term liquidity risk. In terms of unrestricted cash, Adani Port is the only listed entity with significant reserves of 86 billion in Indian rupees according to the FYI 2022 annual report. It is also the only listed entity which seems capable of consistently generating the substantial positive cash flow. Concern about the Adani Group leverage have been expressed by the credit sign of fixed income research firm owned by the prestigious financial services firm Page Group. A blistering report about the Adani Group, published in August 2022, had called the group deeply over leveraged and suggested it could be unravel Adani vast business empire. Adani Group companies are intricately and distinctly linked and dependent upon one another. None of the listed entities are isolated from the performance or the failure of the other group companies. It could take only one serious liquidity event at the single entity to trigger a negative cascade of the event at the other group entity, which could affect the entire Adani Group. Moving on to the topic number 7, promoter shares versus the promoter share pledged. A portion of promoter's equity in the Adani Group listed entity is pledged for a loan, effectively the leveraging the group to the hit. Beyond debt, they held by the individual Adani Group entities. The company's promoter group have pledged the portions of their equity as a collateral for loan. Equity share pledges are an inherent and unstable source of lending collaterals because if the share price drops, the lender can make a collateral call. If no additional collateral is available, the lender could require a forced liquidation of a share. Moving on to the topic number 8, the effects of Hindenburg Research report on Indian stock market. In the last 2 days, LIC has lost 16,580 crores. Out of this 16,580 crores lost in the last 2 days, LIC lost 6,232 crores in one Adani Group stocks, that is Adani Total Gas, in which it has 5.96% shareholdings. After a report by the American short seller Hindenburg Research left Adani Group investor poorer by 1 lakh crore in one day. After releasing of the report, Adani Group stock 10 up to 10% on Wednesday and ended the day with the market capitalization erosion of 96,672 crore across the 10 counters. Adani Group CFO Sushender Singh has on Wednesday alleged that the timing of the report release was done with the malfelt intentions to damage its PFO, which opened for the public subscription on 27 Jan 2023. Adani Enterprise PFO. If you are planning to apply for Adani Enterprise PFO, these are the details for your reference. The Adani Enterprise PFO is subscribed 0.01 times on 27th January 2023 till 5 p.m. The public issue subscribed 0.02 times in the retail category, 0.00 time in the QIB category, and the 0.01 time in the NII category. Still 2 days are in hand. Let's see how the investor going to approach the Adani Enterprise PFO till 31st January 2023. After the report published, we have seen a bloodbath on Sensex. On Wednesday, 25th January 2023, Sensex crashed around 774 points. Once again on Friday, 27th January 2023, Sensex crashed around 874 points. On Friday, 27th January 2023, the bloodbath on Adani shares. Adani Enterprise lost approximately 20% during the day. Adani Total Gas lost approximately 20% during the day. Adani Green lost 20% during the day. Adani Transmission lost approximately 20% during the day. Adani Port lost approximately 60% during the day. Moving on to the topic number 9. Adani Group threatened the legal actions against the Hindenburg Research report. We are awaiting how the Adani Group going to take a lawsuit against the Hindenburg Research report in Indian and the international court. Moving on to the topic number 10. Adani's media statement. Adani Group released a media statement on 25th January 2023 stating that we are shocked that the Hindenburg Research has published a report on 24th January 2023 without making any attempts to contact us or verifying the factual metrics. The report is a malicious combination of selective misinformation and stale, baseless and the discredited allegation that have been tested and rejected by the India's highest court. Adani Group released a second media statement on 26 January 2023. The malicious mischief unresearched report published by the Hindenburg Research on 24 January 2023 has adversely affected the Adani Group, our stakeholders and the investor. The volatility in the Indian stock market created by the report is a great concern and had led to the unwanted suffering for the Indian citizen. Moving on to the topic number 11. List of 88 questions to Adani Group. We will let you know the list of questions which has been raised by the Hindenburg Research firm to Adani Group. Question number 1. Gautam Adani's younger brother, Rajesh Adani, was accused by the Directorate of the Revenue Intelligence of playing a central role in a diamond trading import-export scheme around 2004 and 2005. He was subsequently arrested twice over the allegation of the custom tax evasion, forging import documentation, and the illegal coal imports. Given this history, why was he subsequently promoted to the serve as the managing director of Adani Group? Rajesh Adani has been arrested twice in 1999 and 2010. for matter unrelated to the diamond trading accusation, according to the media report. In 1999, arrest was over the allegation of the custom tax evasion, forging import documentation, and the illegal coal import, according to one of the media report. In 2010, arrest was linked to a separate allegation of a custom tax evasion and the undervalued of import goods, this time related to the naphtha and the petroleum product, according to the another media report. Question number 2. Gautam Adani's brother-in-law, Samir Vora, was accused by the TRI of being a ringleader of a diamond trading scam and of repeatedly making a false statement to regulator. Given this history, why was he subsequently promoted to the executive director of the critical Adani Australia division? Question number 3. As part of DRI investigation into the over-invoicing of power import, Adani claimed that the Vinod Adani was not at all having any involvement in any Adani group of companies except as a shareholder. Despite this claim, a pre-IPO procedure for AdaniPower from 2009 detailed that Vinod was the director of at least 6 Adani Group companies, where Adani original statement about Vinod made to regulator false. Question number 4. What has been the full extent of Vinod Adani's role in the Adani's Group to date, including all roles on deals and entities that have transacted with the Adani Group? Question number 5. Mauritius based entities like APMS Investment Fund, Krista Fund, LTS Investment Fund, Elera India Opportunities Fund, and the Opal Investment collectively and almost executely hold shares in Adani listed company, totaling the almost $8 billion. Given that these entities are key public shareholder in Adani, what is the original source of fund for their investment in Adani Groups? Question number 6. The recent RTI requested confirmed that the SEBI is investigating Adani foreign fund stock ownership. Can Adani confirm that this investigation is ongoing and provide the detail on the status of that investigation? Question number 7. What information has been provided so far as a part of any investigation and to which regulator? Question number 8. Entities associated with Monte Rosa Investment Holdings collectively owns at least $4.5 billion in concentrated holdings of Adani stock. Monte Rosa CEO served as a director in the 3 companies alongside fugitive diamond merchant Jatin Mehta, whose son is married to the Vinod Adani's daughter. What is the full extent of the relationship between Monte Rosa, its fund, and the Adani's family? Question number 9. What is the extent of Adani Group company and any Vinod Adani's related entities dealing with Jatin Mehta? Question number 10. A once related party entity of Adani called Godami International, headed by the close Adani associate Chang Chung Lings, invested heavily in one of the Monte Rosa funds that allocated to Adani Enterprise and AdaniPower. Monte Rosa entity continue as a key Mauritius shareholder in Adani company. What is Adani's explanation for the large concentrated investment into the Adani listed company by a related part entity? Question number 11. What was the original source of fund for each of the Monte Rosa fund and their investment in Adani? Question number 12. A former trader for Elera, a firm with almost $3 billion in concentrated holdings of Adani shares, including a fund that is 99% concentrated in shares of Adani, told us that it is obvious that Adani controls these shares. He added that the structure of the fund is intentionally designed to conceal their beneficial ownership. How does Adani respond? To give more light on it, as of December 2022, the India Opportunities Fund had a total market value of about 246 billion in Indian rupees, of which 243.35 billion or the 98.78% was invested in pre-Adani stock per the trendline data. Elara fund hold 3.62% of equity of Adani Transmission, 1.62% of Adani Total Gas, 1.6% of Adani Enterprise per the most recent data. It is unclear exactly when Elara first began acquiring the Adani stock, but the Elara India Opportunities Fund first disclosed the holding over 1% in Adani's enterprise in June 2012, as per the BSE records. Question number 13. Leaked email shows that the CEO of Elara has dealing with the notorious stock manipulation Dharmesh Doshi, the partner of Ketan Parekh. Even after the Doshi became the fugitive for his allegation, the manipulation activity, how does Adani respond to his relationship given that Elara is one of the largest public holder of shares of Adani? To give more information, which is available in the analysis report, in 1999 and 2001, a chartered accountant named Dharmesh Doshi was accused by the Indian authority of running a wide-scale stock manipulation scam along with the Ketan Parekh, who was convicted for his role in the same scheme. The scam included rigging Indian market and pumping the several stocks, including those of the Indian export, according to the investigation by SEBI and the Indian Parliamentary Inquiry. Question number 14. What was the original source of fund for the Elara fund and their investment in Adani? Question number 15. Adani has worked extensively with the international incorporation firm Corp, which has established at least 7 of its promoter entity, at least 17 offshore shells and entity associated with Vinod Adani, and at least 3 Mauritius-based offshore shareholder of Adani stock. Corp play a key role in the 1MDB international fraud scandal. According to the book Billion Dollar Whale and the US legal case files, along with the file from the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission. Why has Adani continued to work closely with the Corp despite its proximity to the major international fraud and the money laundering scandal? To give you more light on it, which is available on the research report. Corp is not just an incorporator, it is also a worldwide facilitator of the movement of the fund, with its own bank, and investment vehicle which can serve as a wall between the market and the ultimate beneficial owner. In the book, The Billion Dollar Whale, an expose of 1MDB scandal based on the court record and the additional investigation, the author described how the Corp developed the expertise in finding the ways to wash a client money, discuss the money flow, and discreetly move money around. The book also specifically describes how the Corp helped the laundering money for the key perpetrator of the scheme by setting up the Sham Mutual Fund. Question number 16. New Lina is a Swedish-based investment firm which held approximately 95% of its holding in shares of Adani listed companies, consisting of over $420 million. The entity of operated by Corp. What was the original source of fund for the New Lina and its investment in Adani? To give light on it, as per the research report, the New Lina investment is a Swedish-based investment manager whose website vaguely describes its investment approximately as a considerable board. Despite the board approach, as of June 2021, approximately 95% of the New Lina holding consists of $420 million or 1.01% stakes in Adani Green Energy, according to the Bloomberg. Question number 17. Opal Investment Private Limited is the largest claim independent holder of the shares of AdaniPower, with 4.69% of the company It was formed on the same day in the same judiciary by the same small incorporation firm, that is the trust line, as an entity associated with the Vinod Adani. How does Adani explain this? To give you more insight, as per the research report, the Opel is the Mauritius shell entity. Its beneficial ownership is concealed via nominee director per the Mauritius Corporate Registry. No news article about the investment firm, no website, no employee on LinkedIn, no marketing material for the investment firm, no sign that any of the principal have the presently at any investment conferences. Opal investment portfolio has zero diversification. It consists solely of Adani Power Shell as per the fact set. Question number 18. What was the original source of fund for Opel and its investment in Adani? Question number 19. The trust-linked CEO's thought is the close relationship with Adani. The same trust-line CEO was previously alleged by the DRI to have been involved in the fraud using the shell company with Adani. What are the full details of trust-line CEOs dealing with the Adani Group, including those detailed in the DRI investigation records? In short, Opel is supposedly independent investment entity that owns nothing but the share of Adani Power, was created on the same day in the same jurisdictions as another suspicious entity formed by the Vinod Adani, using the same small incorporation firm that openly touts his close relation with Adani, which has been alleged to have the previously facilitated fraudulent practices involving using the shell company for Adani. Question number 20. The abonim offshore entity holding the concentrated position in Adani stock accounted for up to 30 to 47% of the yearly delivery volume in Adani stocks, a massive irregularity according to the analysis of a data from Indian Exchange and the disclosed trading volume per Adani filing. How does Adani explain the extreme trading volume from the concentrated group of opaque offshore funds? Using the top 10 shareholding disclosure by the Adani listed company, which display the granular detail on purchase and the sale activity of these shareholders. The activity of the stock parking entity, Monterosa, Alera, and the new Lena, and also the concentrated wider data set, which include the four other Mauritius shareholding with the portfolio having the suspicious concentrated holdings in Adani stocks. These suspicious offshore entities are EM Resurgent Fund, Asia Investment Corporation, Emerging India Focus, Capital Trade and Investment. The trading pattern suggested that the stock parking entity and the suspicious offshore entity may have the artificially inflated the volume and the price of some Adani listed companies. Question number 21. The nature of this trading suggested that these entities are involved in the manipulative wash trading or the other form of manipulative trading. How does Adani respond? Question number 22. In 2019, Adani Green Energy completed two offerings for sales that were critical for ensuring that its public shareholding were above the 25% listing threshold requirement. What portion of this OFS deal were sold to the offshore entities, including the Mauritius and the Cryptians entity named in our reports? Question number 23. Indian listed corporates receive a weekly shareholding update not disclosed to the public, which would detail the shareholding changes around the deal. Will Adani detail the full list of offshore entities that participated in the OFS deals? Question number 24. Adani chose Monarch Net Worth Capital to run the OFS offering. An Adani private company has a small ownership stake in Monarch, and the Gautam Adani brother in law had previously purchased an airline together with the firm. This close relation seems to be a poses an obvious conflict of interest. How does Adani respond? A year prior to the offering, Gautam Adani's brother in law, Rakesh Shah, went into the business with Monarch when they purchases an airline together in 2018. Monarch also has a history of market manipulation. In 2011, SEBI suspended Monarch, then known as net worth stock broking. Question number 25. Why did Adani choose Monarch Net Worth Capital, a small firm previously suspended and sanctioned by the SEBI over the allegations of the market manipulation to run the offerings rather than the large, well-respected brokers? Question number 26. Mr. Robbie Singh, the group CFO at the time the shareholding issues erupted in the public forum in 2021, claimed in the NDTV interview on June 16, 2021, that the fund, like the Mauritius shareholding, had not made the fresh investments and had come to the own shares of other Adani stock through the vertical demergers. Our analysis shows that it was almost certain that the Mauritius shareholding made the further investment in Adani Green. This coincides with the time when the promoters were required to bring the shareholders down to meet the public shareholding norms. How does the Adani Group respond to this news evidence? Question number 27. Our findings indicate that the SEBI has investigated and prosecuted more than 70 entities and the individuals, including the Adani promoters, for manipulating the Adani stock between 1999 to 2005. How does Adani respond? Question number 28. A SEBI's ruling determined the Adani promoter aided and abetted the Ketan Parekh in the manipulation of stock of Adani Export, showing that the 14 Adani private companies transferred share to the entity controlled by Mr. Parekh. How does Adani explain this coordinated, systematic stock manipulation in its share, together with one of the most notorious convicted stock frauders? To give you more insight, as per the research report, the stockbroker Ketan Parekh was banned from the market for 14 years for ringing the price at least for the 10 stock, including the Adani Export from 1919 to 2001. The 2001 Ketan Parekh scam was damn so serious that it was focused of detain the parliament inquiry in 2002 and become known as one of the most notorious Indian stock market scam in the history. A judge of the Security Appeals Tribunal upheld the earlier ruling that the Parekh has carried out the synchronized and the circulated trade and created the fake demand and the fake volume for the series of the stock, including those of the publicly listed Adani Export. Question number 29. In its defense, Adani Group claimed it had dealt with the Parekh and his stock manipulation efforts to finance operation at the Mudra port. Does Adani view extractions of capital through the stock manipulation as a legitimated method of financing? Question number 30. Individuals closest to the Ketan Parekh have told us that he continues to work on the transaction with his old client, including Adani. What was and is the full extent of the relationship between the Parekh and the Adani Group, including the either entity relationship with the Vinod Adani? Question number 31. Given that the Adani Group promoters pledge share as a collateral for loan, wouldn't the stock manipulation artificially inflated the collateral and the borrowing base for such loans, posing a significant risk for the promoters, counterparties, and by the proxies, Adani shareholders who would suffer at the end of the collateral calls or the deleveraging via the equity sales? Question number 32. In 2007, an Economic Times article describes a deal whereby the broker controlled by the Dharmesh Joshi, a fugitive associate with the Ketan Parekh, brought a share in the pharmaceutical company for a BVI entity, where the Vinod Adani served as a shareholders and the director. what was and is the full extent of the relationship between the Dharmesh Joshi and the Adani Group, including with the Vinod Adani. Question number 33. What is the explanation for the Vinod Adani entity receiving and the alleged US dollar 1 million as a part of a transaction with the Jeremy Capital, the brokerage entity previously run by the Dharmesh Doshi at the time of fugitive and the wanted market manipulator? Question number 34. Investors generally prefer the clean and simple corporate structure to avoid the conflict of interest and the accounting discrepancies that can lure in sparkling and the convoluted structure. Adani's 7K listed entity collectively have 578 subsidiaries and have engaged in total of 6,025 separate related party transactions in the fiscal year 2022 alone, as per the BSA disclosures. Why has the Adani chosen such a convoluted, interlinked corporate structure? Question number 35. We found at least 38 Mauritius-based entities associated with Vinod Adani and Subir Mitra. We also found the Vinod Adani's associated entity in other taxes having jurisdictions like Cyprus, the UAE, Singapore, and the various Caribbean islands. Several of these entities have transact with Adani entity without disclosing the related party the nature of dealing, seemingly in violations of the law as evidences throughout our report. What is the explanation for this? Question number 36. How many entities is Vinod Adani associated with as either director, shareholders, or the beneficiary owner? What are the names and the jurisdictions of these entities? Question number 37. What are the full details of the Vinod Adani's associated entity dealing with the private and the listed entity in the Adani Empire? Question number 38. Hindenburg Research found the website for the 13 Vinod Adani's entity. That seems like the rudimentary efforts to demonstrate the entity have operations. Many websites were formed on the exact same day and they listed the same set of non-sensational services such as consumption abroad and the commercial presence. What businesses or the operation do each of these entity actually engaged in? Question number 39. One of the website for the Vinod Adani's associated entity claim we trade in the services such as the sales and the delivery of the intangible product, like a services between the producer and the consumer. What does the event means? Question number 40. A Vinod Adani controlled Mauritius entity now called the Runal Trader and the Investment lent 11.7 billion in Indian rupees to a private Adani entity without disclosing of its a related party loan. How does Adani explain this? To give more insight, as per the Hindenburg Research report, the Runal has no physical address or the phone number listed other than of its corporate registrar. Hindenburg Research found no employee on the LinkedIn nor any website mention of the entity's operations except of its own vague website. Runal website provide the non-sensational explanation for its support business activities such as offer services such as the sales and the delivery of the intangible product between the producer and the consumer. Question number 41. A Vinod Adani control UAE entity called Emerging Market Investment DMCC list no employee on LinkedIn, has no substantive online presence, have announced no client or deals, and it based out of the apartment in UAE. It's lent US dollar 1 billion to an AdaniPower subsidiary. What was the source of the Emerging Market Investment DMCC funds? Question number 42. A Vinod Adani controlled Cyprus entity called Vakodar Investment has no sign of employment, no substantive online presence, and no clear operations. It had an investment of US dollar 85 million in an Adani private entity without disclosing that it was a related party. How does Adani explain this? Question number 43. What was the source of Vakuter funds? Question number 44. Hindenburg Research have identified a series of transactions from 2013 to 2015 whereby the assets were transferred from a subsidiary of a listed Adani enterprise to a private Singaporean entity controlled by Vinod Adani without disclosure of the related party, the nature of this deal. What is the explanation of this transaction and the lack of disclosure? Question number 45. The private Singaporean entity controlled by the Vinod Adani almost immediately wrote down the value of the transfer assets where those still held on the book of Adani Enterprises. It likely would have the resulted is an impairment and the significant decline in the report's net income. What is the explanation for why these assets were transferred to the private undisclosed related party before being written down? Question number 46. Hindenburg Research found that a silver bar merchant based at a residency with no website, with no obvious sign of operation, run by the current and the former Adani director, lent 15 billion Indian rupees to the private Adani Infra with no disclosure of being a related party transaction. What is the explanation for the lack of required disclosure? Question number 47. What was the purpose of loan and what was the original source of Silver Bar Merchandise Fund? To enlighten more on the question, as per Hindenburg Research report, Behwer Infrastructure main line of business is Silver Bar according to the annual report. The company has no fixed asset and generated losses in the financial year 2021. It has no website, no employees listed on LinkedIn, no obvious online sign of operation aside for its corporate filing. Its 2021 annual report disclosed it has no employee. Question number 48. The Gardenia Trades and Investment is a Mauritius-based entity with no website, no employees on LinkedIn, no social media presence, and no appearance web presence. One of its directors is Subir Mitra, the head of Adani Private Family Office. The entity lent 5.4 billion in Indian rupees to the private Adani Infra with no disclosure of its being a related party loan. What is the explanation for the lack of required disclosure? Question number 49. What was the purpose of loan and what was the original source of loan? Gardenia Trade and Investment Fund. Question number 50. Milestone Trade Line, another claimed silver and the gold merchant, also run by the long-standing employees of the Adani Group and former director of Adani Company, invested 7.5 billion in Indian rupees into Adani Infra. Once again, there was no disclosure of its being a related party loan. What is the explanation for the lack of required disclosures? Question number 51. What was the purpose of loan and what was the original source of milestone trade line funds? Question number 52. Another secretive Mauritius entity called the Promotor Trade and Investment netted an overnight US $423 million gain through a stock merge with AdaniPower. According to the court record, the Promotor is controlled by Chang Chonglings, an individual who shared a residential address with Vinod Adani and had been named in DRI fraud allegations as director of a key intermediary entity used to siphon the fund out of Adani Enterprises. What is the explanation for this windfall gain to an opaque private entity controlled by a close associate of Adani family? Question number 53. What is the nature of Chan Chongling's relation with the Adani Group, including his relationship with Vinod Adani? Question number 54. The listed Adani companies have paid 63 billion in Indian rupees to the private contractor PMC project. over the past 12 years to help construct the major projects. 2014, the DRI investigation called PMC Projects a dummy firm for Adani Group. Given that constructing major project is Adani's business, is PMC Projects in fact just a dummy firm? Question number 55. The PMC project has no current website. Historical capture for its website shows that it shares an address and the phone number with an Adani's company. The numerous employees linked profile shows that they work concurrently at both. Several express the confusion at whether there were any differences. Is PMC project a mere the dummy firm for Adani? Question number 56. Newly revealed ownership record shows that the PMC project is owned by the son of Chan Chung-li, the close associate of Vinod Adani mentioned above. The Taiwanese media reported that the son is Adani Group's Taiwan representative. Hindenburg Research found the picture of him literally holding an Adani sign at an official government event where he represented Adani. Once again, is the PMC project a me dummy firm for Adani as earlier alleged by the government? Question number 57. If so, why hasn't either company reported its extensive dealing as being related party transaction as required? Question number 58. In FY20, AdaniCorp Enterprises only generate 6.9 million in Indian rupees in net profit. That same year, the four Adani companies entities landed its US dollar 87.4 million or more than the 900 years of AdaniCorp net income. This loan seems to be a make little financial sense. What was the underwriting processes and the business rationale that went into making this loan? Question number 59. AdaniCorp almost immediately relended the 98% of those loans to the listed AdaniPower. Was AdaniCorp similarly used conduits to move fund into the AdaniPower from other Adani Group's entities and sidestep related party norms? Question number 60. Why have listed Adani's companies paid the private Adani entities Adani Infrastructure Management Services 21.1 billion in Indian rupees over the past 5 years, given that the listed company's business is also managing the infrastructures? Question number 61. The listed company Adani Enterprise paid the US dollar 100 millions to a company ultimately held by the private trust of Adani family in the British Virgin Islands, a notorious Caribbean tax haven, with the claim rationale being a pay of security deposit to use an Australian coal terminal. Why did the listed company need to pay such lucrative fees to Adani private interest? Question number 62. Adani Enterprises has had the five chief officers over the course of 8 years, or key red flags suggesting potential accounting irregularities. Why has Adani Enterprise had such a difficult time retaining someone for its top financial position? Question number 63. What were the reason for the resignations or the termination each of these prior CFOs? Question number 64. Adani Green Energy, Adani Port, and Adani Power have each had the three CFOs over 5 years, while Adani Gas and the Adani Transmission has both had the CFO turnaround within the past 5 years. Why have the Adani entities struggled to retain the individuals at its top financial position? Question number 65. What were the reason for the resignation or the termination each of these prior CFOs? Question number 66. The independent auditor of Adani Enterprises and the Adani Gas is a teeny firm called Shah Dhandaria. Historical archive of the website shows that it had only 4 partners and 11 employees. It seems to have no current website. Record shows that it pays 32,000 Indian rupees in monthly office rent. The only other listed entity, Hindenburg, found that its audit has a market capitalization about 640 millions in Indian rupees. Given the complexity of Adani listed companies with hundreds of subsidiaries and the thousands of interrelated dealing, why did Adani choose this teeny and the virtual unknown firm instead of large, more credible auditors? Question number 67. The audit partner of Shah Dhandaria, who signed off an Adani Gas annual audit, was 23-year-old when he began approving the audit. He had just finished the university. Is that individual really in a position to scrutinize and hold to the account the financially of the firm controlled by one of the world's most powerful individual? Question number 68. The audit partner of Shah Dhandaria, who signed off an Adani Enterprise annual audit, was as young as 24-year-old when he began approving the audits. Is that individual really in a position to scrutinize and hold to account the financial of a firm controlled by one of the world's most powerful individual? Question number 69. The audit partners signed off Adani Gas and Adani Enterprise annual audit report are now both 28-year-old. Again, are they in a position to credibly scrutinize and hold to the account the finance of a firm controlled by one of the world's most powerful individual? Question number 70. The auditor for Adani Power and Ernst and the Young affiliate gave a qualified opinion in its audit, saying that it has no way to support the value of 56.75 billion in Indian rupees in investor and the loan held by Adani Power. What is Adani Power's full explanation for the valuation of this investments and loan? To give you a more insight on this point, as per the Hindenburg Research report, the auditor noted that the Mudra power plant net worth has been completely eroded due to the sustained losses. The auditor found no basis of support the carrying value of these assets, which represented approximately 23% of Adani Power total asset basis, and felt compelled to specifically point out the issues. The Adani Power has consistently struggled. The current liabilities and the measure of the short-term obligation exceed the current assets, posing a solvency questions. Question number 71. Which part of the valuation of the Adani Power's investments and the loans did the auditor disagree with? Question number 72. Adani has been subject to the numerous allegations of fraud by the DRI and the other government agencies. In the year 2004-2006, the diamond scandal investigation, the government alleged the Adani Export Limited and the related entity export were 3x the total export of all the other 34 firms in the industry group put together. How does Adani explain that the sudden surge in the trading volume? Question number 73. The diamond export investigation also demonstrates the role played by the Vinod Adani and the entities in the UAE, Singapore, and the Hong Kong that were used to facilitate the back and forth movement of the money and the product. How does Adani explain all the tradings that took place with entity associated with Vinod Adani? Question number 74. In 2011, the Parliamentary Ombudsman for the Karnataka state issues a 466-page report describing the Adani as the anchor point for the massive 600 billion in Indian rupees scam involving the illegal importations of iron ore. Alleged that Adani had bribed all level of government in facilitation of the scheme. What is Adani's response to the investigation and the extensive evidences present as the part of this finding? Question number 75. In 2014, the DRI once again accused Adani of using intermediary UAE-based shell entity controlled by the Vinod Adani to siphon fund. In this case, throughout the over-invoicing of the power equipment. Did Adani invoice the power equipment purchases to a UAE based entity such as Extrogen Infra Fees? If so, why? Question number 76. Was there are the markup from the original purchase price for the equipment? What services did the Vinod Adani associate entities provided that would have justified a markup? Question number 77. The same DRI investigation found that Vinod Adani's intermediary entity sent $900 million to the private owned Adani's entity in Mauritius. What is the explanation for this transaction? Question number 78. Where did the money from this transaction go after it was sent to the private Adani entity in Mauritius? Question number 79. The DRI investigation also documented many other transactions through the Vinod Adani intermediary entities which were not probed further by investigator. What is Adani's explanation for those other transactions? Question number 80. In yet another scandal, Adani was accused of overvaluing the coal import through the shell entity in Dubai, UAE, Singapore, and the BVI. Did Adani transact with the entity in these jurisdictions? If so, which one and why? Question number 81. In 2019, the Singaporean entity Pan Asia Coal Trading won a coal supply tender floated by Adani Group. Pan Asia Coal Trading website provides no detail on the coal trading experience, nor does it name a single individual associated with the company. Why did Adani Group selected such a small firm for coal supply? What was the due diligence process that went into the selection? Question number 82. Corporate record shows that the former Adani Group company director was a director and the shareholder of Pan Asia. Why did Adani Group disclose the potential conflict of interest in the transaction? Question number 83. In the same year as winning the coal deal in 2019, the Pan Asia coal deal landed 30 million US dollar to the private entity of Adani Group per the Singaporean corporate record. Why did the private company of Adani family take money from a small single shareholder entity in Singapore at the same time its listed company was awarded a coal supply deal to it? Question number 84. In interview, the Gautam Adani has said, I have a very open mind toward the criticism. Given this, why did Adani seek to have a critical journalist jailed followed this article on allegations of Adani tax evasions? Question number 85. In the same interview, Gautam Adani said, every criticism give me an opportunity to improve myself. Given this in 2021, why did Adani seek a court gag order of a YouTuber that made a critical videos of Adani? Question number 86. In the same interview, Gautam Adani said, I always introspect and try to understand the other point of views. Given this, why has Adani Group filed the legal suit against the journalist and the activist, which has been condemned by the media watchdogs? Why did it has a activity in Australia followed by the private investigators? Question number 87. If the Adani Group has nothing to hide, why does it feel to need to pursue the legal action against even the smallest of its criticisms? Question number 88. Does Adani Group truly view itself as an organization with the sound corporate governance that embody its slogan, growth with goodness? These are the 88 questions raised by the Hindenburg Research report. Abidi Stock Market Learnings channel has only read out those 88 list of questions for the viewers. That's it for the video. You should take your time to understand all the concepts discussed in this video. Take your notes and go back from time to time to review the strategy which has been shared with you. Please subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon to get all the notification for our upcoming videos. Please like the videos and provide your comments if any. If you think the comment of the video are knowledgeable, then please share this video with your colleagues and friends. Once again, thank you for watching the entire video.